Hey there, Wargamers, Justin Iron Paint here, and today, I want to talk about the Timberwolf. So I'd like to welcome you guys back to the channel today, and thank you guys for tuning in. For all you guys who are repeat viewers, thank you, and if you're new here, make sure you hit that like, subscribe. Channel grows every day, and I've got the motivation to do what I'm doing because of you, so thank you. Now, for today's video, I just kind of wanted to talk about the Timberwolf specifically. Oh, I can't get that to stay. Let's switch it over to this one. Specifically, the variant that I like to use. I don't want to say competitive play. I used it this year, or this past Southern Assault in my tournament list, and I'm going to hold it here, and I'll hopefully be able to pop up the variant of the card on the screen for you. But he was in my tournament list. I don't think it's the most meta option, but it's got some features that I think are worth talking about. The variant of the Timberwolf that I in particular like to use is the Timberwolf W. This particular variant is pretty snazzy. It's got a few features that I think are easily overlooked. I used this this variant. Let me move my screen here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep the microphone in frame and all that stuff. And new microphone, so the audio goes in and out if I'm talking over here versus talking over here. So trying to get used to that. So that said, I've got the stuff on the right screen now, and I can talk about it. So I used the Timberwolf W, the Mad Cat Timberwolf W. It is a Late Republic / Ill Clan era mech, and I've used it 2 years in a row at Southern Assault. And there are a few reasons for that. One is the era in which it's available, which it starts in the Late Republic and it runs through the Ill Clan. So it's got a variety of years that it's available and a variety of factions. So I used it in Southern Assault 2021 in my Clan Wolf Force, and I used it in Southern Assault 2022 for my Wolf's Dragoons, which I have here today. This is the one that I used. So I'm going to go through and read off the factions that it is available for in each era, because it does change, and then I will get into why I like this variant. So for the Late Republic era, if you guys are playing in that, it's 3101 to 3130. It is available for Clan Jade Falcon, Clan Nova Cat, Clan Sea Fox, Clan Wolf in Exile, Comstar, oddly enough, Scorpion Impero, Kellhounds, Mercenaries, Razzlehog Dominion, Republic of the Sphere, and Wolf's Dragoons. So rejoice, you mercenaries out there, for you have access to this awesome variant during this era. Worth noting, it's not available before this era because it did not exist. Moving on to the Dark Ages, 3131 to 3150, the availability changes. It's no longer listed as a Clan Wolf variant, which seems odd to me, but it's available for Comstar, Scorpion Imperio, Inner Sphere. Oh, that's why. Inner Sphere Clan General. So that should encompass, I think, all the clans at that point. Kellhounds, Mercenary, Republic of the Sphere, Scorpion Empire, and Wolf's Dragoon. So again, mercenaries rejoice, for you have access to this beautiful piece of tech. And then going into the Ill Clan, it's available for Inner Sphere Clan General, which again, pretty much all the clans. Kellhounds, Mercenaries, Scorpion Empire, and Wolf's Dragoon. So you'll notice that the Republic of the Sphere isn't listed because they no longer exist during the Ill Clan. They were defeated. So there's a few factions that were listed there. So hopefully one of the ones you play is encompassed with that, which will let you put this into your forces and use it if you're trying to be fluffy and era accurate. So why do I like this? First and foremost, it's usable by mercs, which I've got my own custom mercs. I've got Wolf's Dragoons, I've got Republic of the Sphere, and I've got Clan Wolf. So a lot of my factions that I own and play can use this variant. Now at stock, this comes in at 55 points at skill 4, TMM 2. We're going to get into the damage here, and we'll rotate back to the one attribute that I skipped. At short and medium range, 7/7, long range 0. It's coming in with 13 HP, special abilities, Case, and Omni. So not a lot going on the specials, which is really good, because I think when you're playing a game, keeping it lean and not having a lot of abilities to worry about is better. The less special rules you have to remember, the better. Also, the more special rules you have, the more points you're paying for that unit, and if you're not utilizing those special rules, why are you paying for those points? So, hypothetically, if he had indirect fire, and I'm paying the premium points for that, because that's incorporated in the cost of the unit, if I don't use the indirect fire during that game because it doesn't come up, okay, but if I didn't plan to use it from the start, Why did I take a variant that has it? Now, I know that's easy to say because there's only so many variants, right? So yes, you may end up with a variant with, abilities that you won't use or will be unlikely to use. But if you can find a lean variant that has what this mech has and you're not paying the tax on those abilities, even better. Thumbs up. So, why do I like this? First and foremost, and we'll get back to the one stat I skipped, which is the movement. We'll get back to that. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is its damage value at medium range. I'm going to get my little notepad here, and we all know that I like to doodle here when I ramble. So, if you're playing a standard game of Alpha Strike, if you're playing with the rules that I use or Southern Assault uses, you're going to be playing on a 4x4. So, 4x4. So this was your deployment, right? And if you're not, you're probably playing on a 42 by something. So we're going to break this down into some tick marks. So we got, I can do this. There we go. There you go. Half. Okay, so at this bracket here, we're at 24 inches in, right? Follow? Here, we're at 12. Here, we're at 12. All right, so when you are playing, imagine this is your map. This is 4x4 to let you know. So imagine when you're playing, this is the halfway point of your game. Perhaps there's some objectives on the table and, some buildings. There's those little buildings, right? If you are playing the game and you're playing Alpha Strike, the majority of the fight is going to be at a certain range bracket. That range bracket is medium. You're unlikely to want to sit back at 42 plus, right? Because you're sitting back on this back line and you're firing to their back line. And even if you do sit back here, they're likely to push forward. And if they get too far forward towards the middle of the table, you're no longer sitting at max range anymore, right? And the opposite is true for you. If your opponent has a catapult that wants to sit back in this back corner and is trying to shoot long range, right? And then you push and your Timberwolf goes doo, 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 and you get to the middle of the table, your threat bubble of 24 inches, I'm going to screw this up, but like, imagine this big circle, right? That's going around that. That is your diameter, right? Or excuse me, your radius. Your radius from the center point of the table to the edge is 24 inches. The diameter bubble of his threat range at medium is 48 at that point. If you take the center of the table, your medium range being 7 to 24 inches, so 24 inches from the center, so boom, which is basically that back corner, and vice versa. At the center of the table, if you control this or somewhere in here, you've got your sights on the whole table, right? For this particular variant, that means that the long range never matters. It doesn't matter that he's got 0 long range because you're unlikely to be using it. This philosophy holds true for things other than the Mad Cat. The majority of your shots in Alpha Strike are going to probably be medium, and then the second set of shots that's going to be very common is short, because you've pushed forward for objectives, you're getting in someone's face, you're trying to leverage that shorter range bracket to be easier to hit someone, right? If you're trying to maximize long range shots, you're going to employ a unit to do that, to stay back and try and keep your opponent away. But again, if they get the middle of the table, your long range shots are no longer long range, so it doesn't matter. So when you're building an optimum list, something with high damage medium is great. That's great. You can keep them, you can push forward to the middle of the table, keep them relatively safe, and try and shoot at your opponent there. And if they drive forward and you need to keep cover, you still know that bubble's here. Now, a slight caveat here. The main issue with this philosophy is that if you have a slow unit and you deploy in one of the corners, it's very hard for you to get to the middle and have that threat projection, right? So if you have a slow unit, this isn't this Timberwolf, if you have a slow unit, you're going to want to deploy somewhere central so that it's very easy for you to take the path of least resistance towards the center of the map to maximize your threat projection, your threat bubble, where you can deal damage. We'll talk about this later, but hypothetically, if you were to put an Annihilator in a corner with a 4-inch move 0 TMM, it's going to take him so long to trudge forward here, right? So if you think of this, I don't know if this is trigonometry, but we're going to get into it. If you think of this as this is your 4x4, right? And you want to get to the center of the table, right? This is 24 inches to get there. And every time you move forward, you're pushing out your 24-inch bubble of where you can attack. If your guys want to go here, that is not the most direct route. Based on a train and whatnot, generally your hypotenuse is longer than these two. Now, if this is a perfect square, sure, whatever. you may end up not having that be the case. But in general, you don't want to start here and try and shove there. And if you do that and you offset into a corner with your Annihilator and your opponent sees that, they're unlikely to want to cluster here right in front of you. They're going to cluster here and they're going to make you traverse the full length of the table, if that makes sense. Versus if you put your, in your bubble, so imagine this is your Annihilator and your threat bubble is 24 and it does like this, right? That's vastly different than if your Annihilator starts here with a bubble that looks like this, right? And then as you move forward, every time you move forward, that bubble, it extends, right? Versus if you're going here, your bubble is on this side, and it's only moving up but never encapsulating your opponent. So center, if you're a slow unit, you want to encapsulate the center of the table and push forward, limit being on the corners if at all possible. That is what you would like to do. So, why have I sat here and talked a lot about movement and the speeds of things to get your threat projection towards the center of the table to leverage your medium range damage? That is because my favorite feature of this Timberwolf, probably edging out the damage because 770 is really good. The main benefit of this Timberwolf, 12-inch movement. That's scary, and I bring that up and I note that, and I'm reluctant to even put this video out because this is my favorite variant, but I think you guys should know, because I stumbled across it and had no idea until I saw it. The standard Timberwolf in general has a speed of 10, right? And when I played this guy in 2021, I played against Travis from Renegade HPG, and I caught him with this. Now I did tell him, I was doing it, not necessarily like tell, but was talking to him about why I like this variant at the beginning of the game, and I said because it has a 12-inch move. Later in the game, he forgot. He positioned in such a way that I was able to move behind him and shoot him in the rear. And that extra 2 inches is huge. And people, if they don't think about it, then they don't know what's going to happen. And in this case, I tried to talk about it ahead of time so he would be aware. And he had forgotten. And, that happens. But that extra 2 inches is fantastic. So if you think at the start of the game, deployment plus a 12-inch move plus a 24-inch bubble or threat projection range of his medium range, it is so easy for him to position to get his guns to bear. Now, yes, a 10-inch move Timberwolf is going to be almost as efficient as this one in terms of moving, but that extra 2 inches, man, that's huge. And you got to think it's also that's also magnified if you're running, right? If you decide to take a run action instead of shooting for the turn, you move at 1.5 speed, right? So he goes from 12 to 19, or sorry, not 19, 18, right? Whereas a standard Timberwolf, if he runs, he goes from 10 to 15. It's the extra inches. Inches get you where you need to be. That's the difference between being on an objective and not. That's the difference between getting behind terrain and not. That's the difference between catching a unit and not. So, the Timberwolf Mad Cat variant W at 55 points, skill 4, 12-inch move, 770 for damage, no frills, no crazy skills, just gets in there, moves, and shoots and does damage. That is why that is my favorite Mad Cat for this era. I would like to go back and talk about some Mad Cats or other units in general for eras that I would also like to use. But because I do a lot in the Dark Age Ill Clan era, I want to talk about this one because if you're playing in that era and you've bought the new Alpha Strike box and you're using those Dark Age or Ill Clan era variants, in particular like the Archer with the Team M2, which is absolutely nuts, or the Atlas with Stealth out of that box, which is absolutely nuts. If you're using those and you're a clanner and you're playing or if you're playing in that box and you're using the clan forces from that box, this is a variant that I think you should check out. So that being said, if you guys have made it this far, please hit that like, subscribe, leave a comment if there's thoughts or questions about this unit, or if you have a unit that you really like that you would like me to check out and share my thoughts on. Let's get a conversation or going down in the comments below. If you're interested in picking up anything at all Battletech related, check out Fortress Miniatures and Games. Bobby Robert, he is awesome. He's a supporter of the channel, and helping support him help support me. And finally, if you want to directly support what I do, check out Death Ray Designs and Pro Acro Monument Hobbies. Supporting them helps support me as well. So check that description. And yeah, if I don't sign off today, I will continue to ramble as I always do. So we're going to sign off today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed this ramble. As always, keep painting those models, keep rolling your dice, and I will catch you guys next time.